High of 66. Saturday night will bring mostly cloudy skies with the possibility of a late thunderstorm in some areas and a low of 56. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
I love America. I love the Constitution. I love the First Amendment. I want to carry and all guns. I love property. And let me tell you something. If you care about your country, read Ludwig von Mises and the 6 lessons of the Austrian Economic School, motherfuckers.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
For 56 years. 56 years, a lifetime. My next guest has been fighting the Leviathan, fighting for Americanism, American principles, understanding how important it was. And for a while, he had his back against the ropes. After all, he was fighting the entire government. The entire government that was dead set on making Americans subservient to a world order rather than understanding American law, American principles. My next guest understands both, and he fought for over half a century to protect them. I love having him on, I truly do. He is my favorite lawyer, and that's not as big of a compliment as it should be. He's my extra favorite lawyer. John O'Connor, author of Postgate. How are you?
Shaun, my favorite talk show host.
Well, I have to tell you, it's amazing to see the infrastructure, literally, that you fought against. You went and tried to use the law as the American shield, the American spear when needed. It's all being torn asunder by Donald Trump. I don't think people understand how he is ripping apart that New World Order supply chain, finance chain, foreign policy chain, foreign dominance of the most important commodity in the universe chain. He is rewriting the way in which we were crippled. And I know you understand it. Everything from Venezuela to Iran to the Panama Canal. I mean, I think it's beautiful, and I love the way he's doing it because he's doing it rapidly, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, all the very big things that you're talking about, the most important things, helping out with Venezuela, getting rid of Iran's and their nukes, and trying to get rid of stupid climate stuff that really is nothing but a bog on everyone and causes high prices. You talk about affordability. How much is climate stuff caused in terms of affordability? But with all that, my only worry, Shaun, and I'll get this out, is that I want Trump to keep his coalition together, and I hope he really kind of gets it together here. And some of the stuff that he's doing that allowed Democrats to criticize him, like on this 1776 fund, that's a little bit too much for me. But I say that because I just want to be honest with you that I do think that all the good things, all the important things, he's doing very well, and people don't understand how well he bluffs. They don't understand what he's doing when he's bluffing and getting good things for America. So I'm always in his corner. I just don't want to see his coalition lost because of a couple things he does out of understandable pique and retribution. I understand he's been screwed over terribly, and he should be doing something to rectify it. Sometimes he goes too far. That's all I would say.
Well, and too far is the name of my boat. That and Topless Tuesdays. However, I think you have to in this vein, and I'm going to tell you why. I have never thought he's doing it for himself. If you've ever, I know people that know him. I've only been around them once, and I was invited to Mar-a-Lago, and I went. But there's a difference. I didn't have any conversation or existential, philosophical breakthrough with him. Not at all. I shook his hand, and that was it. I don't want to make you think anything, but to understand him the way you follow him, right, from the 70s, right, just like you, from the 70s. He comes on the scene. He's got the dad's money. He's going to take New York by storm. And you look at how he bought Mar-a-Lago from the Post family, who tried to give it to the government. The government lost it, and all the things. I don't think for 1 minute this is about him and his money. I think he is probably shocked at how well things have turned out for him. But I do think it's for his friends. And what I mean by that is Rudy Giuliani and the abuse, the lawfare, the outrageous stripping of his assets, humiliating him, stripping him of his law degree, character assassination is unbelievable. Now you just take him, just him. Mike Lindahl, who I have met, and I have had conversations. And let me tell you something. First time I met him, I said, boy, oh boy, this guy's the Energizer Bunny. He admits he was a crackhead. It's an amazing story, but never political until Donald Trump. And what they were fighting for is what I believe is the most important thing. Time. Time is the enemy of me, of you, of a baby, of an old man. Time is the one thing you can never get back. Never. So when you look at this fraud that was the election of Joe Biden, and John, you know, I've been blessed to know you for a few years, have you on. I never bought that Joe Biden won. When you have Sidney Powell, who also was character assassinated, look at those people that fought to prove what now is an admission of Fulton County, an admission of Arizona, an admission of Philadelphia, an admission of all these Democrat mafia. They now can't hide. They stole the 2020 election. The January 6th is an extremely interesting because it's a psyop, absolutely unequivocally. You had the FBI, you had their confidential informants, which they don't have to disclose. All the ex-scumbags and drug dealers and lowlifes that help pose as Trump guys and go organize it. We've got Antifa videos. You've got all this thing. I have interviewed veterans, old man and a wife went bankrupt, lost everything. I interviewed a construction worker. 2 years, they wouldn't let him talk to a lawyer. I interviewed numerous people, a young kid who's not the sharpest knife in the drawer. His aunt had to stick up for him. He didn't even know what the hell he was doing. 5 years they gave him. I mean, and you look at, these guys spent time in prison. You can't create a fund big enough to give these people compensation. And it'll send forever a shiver down the scourge who clearly and absolutely, beyond the shadow of a doubt, unequivocally, use the power of the Department of Justice to persecute its political enemies. I say double it.
Well, that's right. And I think, Shaun, in terms of some of these folks that were given no bail, forget even about the imprisonment sentences.
Yeah.
A lot of people were restricted from getting bail just by fiat. Oh, as if somebody is going to flee the country because they got caught wandering around, with horns on their head, and the fact is that if you read the Senate report, which nobody ever pays attention to, they did a 96-pager well before the House joke of a hearing. And that 96-page report written by Amy Klobuchar and the good guy from Ohio, I'm thinking of his name.
I know who you're talking about. I can't think of it either. Real good guy. And it tells you how the FBI knew that the few bad guys were in the lurch waiting to do things, and there are just a few of them, but they're planning on storming the doors, and all they needed to do, the Capitol Police, was heed the FBI's hair on fire warning, stop these guys. It never would have happened. As to everybody else, they were prosecuted for doing nothing but wandering around. Now, I don't mind a sentence of a couple months about guys who are really doing bad things, but beyond that, most of these people were held without bail, just falsely imprisoned. It's terrible what happened to them. And yeah. And I mean, you look at the fact that we have now the vest video from the copper, the dirty Democrat cop who thinks he's a tough guy with the neck tattoos and he's yelling during the hearing. I like to slap the dung out of that moron. However, he got his video. He faked it. He never was injured. What's his name? Feloni? Another reason my grandfather would be spinning in his grave like he was on a Black & Decker. He couldn't stand scumbag Italians. But this is what they are. And the cop that shot Ashley Babbitt, 99 pounds, without a gun. I've been arrested 100 times. I'm a lot more dangerous than Ashley Babbitt. Nobody ever shot me in the neck point blank. I'll tell you, there's a lot of retribution that needs to come. And when it comes to keeping the coalition together, I think it's brilliant what he did, and I'll tell you why. Tom Massey, did you see the makeover after his first wife died? See that? Did you pay?
No, I didn't. I didn't notice it. Yeah,
John, it's an old card player trick. I try to notice everything. He was humdrum. He looked like a librarian when he was married. All chubby. The old lady, sick, tragedy, dies. Within 3 months, he marries the girl that's half his age who worked for him in his campaign office in Washington. Now, the other girl that worked for him in his campaign office, she put an ethics complaint at the same time. This is all public knowledge, John. You would find it fascinating. Said he sexually harassed her. Then she's got the tape. She's testimony. So I say shake out the Tom Massey. Shake out the bad guys, because these are the guys that are waiting to stab you in the way they stabbed everybody from Nixon to Reagan anyway.
Well, you've just explained a lot about Massey. He's really playing to the crowd. There have been some funny comments about how he had damp linguini hair. And, he does try to, I don't know what he's trying to do there, be some kind of a boy singer or something. But he's a weird dude. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. And now we know that the money, all the accusations about AIPAC. Did you notice how they spread that rumor about FARA, Foreign Agent Registry? Yeah. Right? Well, that's for foreign. Yeah. AIPAC, they're Americans. They're an American lobbying firm. They're subjected to the laws, the rules, the regulations of disclosure that all American lobbying firms have. But if you listen for the last, 5 years, why aren't they registered? The Jews run the world. And now you find out Qatar, that has 350,000 people, gives 3 times the money AIPAC gives. Saudi Arabia gives 4 times the money AIPAC gives. If you look at all these Islamo-run countries, they give way more than the Jews. But Massey is going to indict his opponent as being an asset of Israel. Well, all that money, that $10 million he had in his coffer, I want a forensic audit. I want to know if there's $1 in there from Qatar, because there is that backs what the hell's his name? This father ran the Voice of America, Tucker Carlson. That's who started him, was the Qatar guy. The guy who was half Iranian, half Pakistani. He banks in Qatar. He financed the Clintons. I mean, there's a lot going on, and they're hoping everybody's stupid to just buy the talking points. But the bigger picture is, if we're going to stand for something, we can't bow for anything.
Well, Shaun, maybe Massey should have been pointed out that Israel's one of these things called an ally, and they're helping fight one of these things called an enemy, and Massey wants to do something about them. Come on. This isn't, Iran is not just a threat to Israel. I'm sorry. They've got some ICBMs that can reach, remember, death to America is one of their sayings, not just death to Israel, but death to America. And their ICBMs are almost, have the range almost to get to America. And so let's see what happens in New York and Washington, D.C. if, in fact, this war had not happened. You can imagine when those cities got nuked, what they would do. Oh, somebody's to blame, and it's probably Trump to blame at that point.
Yeah. If I still drank, I would bet you a Schlitz that they're going to hit him again this weekend, just for old time's sake. I think Trump's going to wipe him out this weekend, but we'll see. And one thing's for certain, at least they're nervous. At least the scoundrels in our government who have been hiding there to upend presidents who wanted to change things, they're very nervous. So when they give me a resignation, a guy who's been at the Treasury office, you resigned for this, but you didn't resign for the $2 trillion Joe Biden gave away his last year under the Inflation Reduction Act to Somalians? You were cutting the checks. You're the chief legal treasurer officer. You didn't know about Somalia? You didn't know about the foreign policy money that has been stolen from us all over the world? And now you're going to stand on principle? I think this is what irritates me the most, is this phony virtue that bureaucrats pretend to have, when the reality is they're trying to be a forever bureaucracy in spite of any president or the will of the people.
Well, that's right. And what was happening during Biden is these various programs were getting goosed up to give far more than they should have been giving out there in aid, including to people that were not legally supposed to get it. But nobody said anything about it. And that's okay. They can do that because they're really conscientious, cool people. They're giving to all these needy people. The fact that they're not citizens doesn't seem to bother them. But God help us if if Trump does something they don't like. So, no, there's all sorts of hypocrisy. And the problem with our system is, with the deep state, started by Woodrow Wilson, we now have people that are unelected bureaucrats that can control us. And the Democrats have learned how to use those bureaucracies to their benefit. They play them like a fiddle, and they're giving out money to their supporters, to the NGOs. The NGOs are contributing to their campaign. The cycle goes on, and people can't understand why we have deficits. We're collecting $5 trillion a year, and we're in a deficit mode. Why? So
Cloward Piven.
Here we are.
Yeah, Cloward Piven taking control of the Treasury. That's why they're trying to bankrupt us, not just through Chicago welfare. They're trying to bankrupt us through failed plans you can never really trace back to where the money goes. I mean, it's so unbelievable, the $30 trillion that has been added since Barack Obama was a moron that couldn't make his car payment as a state senator in Chicago. It's really impressive, though, to see how nervous all of these people are at just the little things Donald Trump is doing. But some of the things he should get credit for is he took on the same people you took on, the cartel of OPEC, and he did it by just attacking Iran, and he changed the course of what is the most important commodity in the universe and how it'll be priced. And now he has Middle Eastern allies. That's a big, big deal that I don't think people are talking about in the right fashion. Do you?
Oh, no. Now Trump has got it so that we are oil dominant and we dominate the world, and especially with the brilliant Abraham Accords, we're in sync with the Middle East oil producers who want peace and want us to protect them. And they're now in alliance with, to some degree, with Israel. So Trump has created a more peaceful world. We're now oil dominant, and therefore we have big weapons to keep things peaceful and also to keep America prosperous, because fossil fuel is a great weapon in the world now. You need it for data centers, for example, and China ain't got it.
No.
China needs us to get them oil. So now we can keep. Trump has done such big things. People don't really appreciate what he's done.
No. And history hopefully will vindicate him in the way it's proved you right all these years. I'm that serious about that. And when you look at the way in which the Chevron deference was bastardized and the power and the green energy movement, always about keeping us low, keeping our companies low. And today, before the show, I'm just thinking and I'm looking up some stuff. Do you know that today, before Memorial Day, we exported 10.2 million barrels of oil today? And when Jimmy Carter told Americans that we were going to run out of oil, that was what America used every day. And he told Americans that we had to be afraid. The oil was going to run out. The Iranians had us. The Middle East had us. We were subjected to whatever the whims were of OPEC and the rest of it. Look at how wrong that stupid son of a dog has been proven. This isn't me saying it and my grandfather who said it immediately, or you. This is the fact. And when you talk to these Democrats, I'm done arguing with them, John. There is no arguing with a cultist. It's like talking to an Iranian. What this is now is this is the fact. You can argue with the fact, but we're going to move along. And I think this is exactly the right jerk to do it. Because if you're going to do it, John, you have to be a jerk.
Yeah, and you do need to do it. And also, I think one of the things Trump has done is he's taken the steam out of this climate change. I mean, for how many years have they been saying we only have 12 more years? They've been saying it now for about 36.
Let me tell you something.
The world should have ended 3 times.
Yeah, we both had thicker hair and could do more push-ups. There's no question about it. And, you wonder if people forget. Are there enough of us alive to remember those Carter years when for the first time in American history a president came on television and told the people, you're going to have to get used to living low? This is the other difference. Yeah. He's non-stop. You had Joe Biden on a changing table waiting for a Secret Service guy with a diaper bag. This guy's giving press interviews, the likes of which nobody's seen. He walks around, you can't wait to talk to somebody. It's refreshing, and I think the people recognize the only reason he did that is he's not cultivated as a politician his whole life. This is a guy that wants to get stuff done. I think that he's building an appetite up where the people are never going to accept career politicians again.
Well, I think you're right. And my only caution is I think what he's done is wonderful for our society, and I have no apologies for him. If I were sitting in a room next to him, if he actually would listen to me, I'd say, okay, cool your jets a little bit till the midterms on some of this frippery but basically you're doing all the right things.
Yeah.
You're doing all the right things. Just, I love his bluster. The problem is sometimes you got to cool it because basically the left and all the media, they love nothing more than some, meaningless verb that he says to make a big deal about it. And people who don't know any better think, oh, this is a terrible guy. Look what he said yesterday, when it's just a throwaway comment. people of common sense know that. But the problem is there are people out there yelling and screaming to get some of the voters in the middle. I'm very concerned about those voters in the middle who, you wonder how anybody can be undecided today, but there are those people. And he's done such wonderful things, and I wish more people would talk about how he has saved the Western world with this Iraq bombing.
Oh, it's amazing.
The Western world.
Saved our economy. How we are reprivatizing the economy from the fraud of green energy swindles, where every Democrat sets up their wife's moron cousin in some front LLC and they steal the money. I think I agree with what you're saying if it would have been the 2018, 2019. But I think after forcing 370 million people to live through an illegitimate dementia patient as a president, while the children of the Democrat mafia stole our money, I think now I'm going to go with the Karate Kid. I love that movie. Sweep the leg, John Connor. Sweep the leg. Let's rip them out.
That's right. And per your talk about the 2020 election, I've written a lot about that. There were 40,000 votes in 3 states that would have elected Trump. One of them, Wisconsin, should have been gone the other way. The Supreme Court, Democrat Supreme Court, went the wrong way on it. It was clear that that should have been one. And then you had 10,000 votes in Georgia, 11,000, and 11,000 in Arizona, where you can clearly prove those 11,000 were invalid for various reasons that are very easy to prove. And there's Trump's election right there. You don't need to prove a lot to say that he won.
Well, Fulton County admitted to 370,000 ballots not having the seal on it. 370,000 ballots. And when you look at Rudy Giuliani and what they did to that guy, how they fast-tracked that that lawfare, that case, wouldn't let him appeal, and then stripped him of his assets. You're a lawyer. I've been through a few of these arguments myself. Nothing happens that fast. Nothing. Here's a guy who's been nothing but an outstanding prosecutor. What do you mean you're not going to let him appeal? You fast-tracked all of that? And you look at the way in which they brought up Trump. There was no plaintiff on an argument of debt he paid back and insurance policies where there were no claims. This is the beauty. Yeah. And as long as you stay on offense and you keep reminding people, if you think Trump did something wrong with a fund, why do you think that Obama, when he freed the FALN terrorists, 100 bombings in New York and Chicago, 100 bombings, 6 Americans dead, he freed these rat terrorists for FALN, and nobody said a fracking word except talk radio? So,
nobody does. Yeah. Nobody does.
No, those were Americans that were killed by this terrorist organization, and he let the scumbags walk free. And to this day, whatever happened to them? Did they get money? Were they set up in some phony fund where an NGO made them millionaires? You know, John, it's because I think we're done playing patty cake. To me, if someone tells you they're a Democrat, it's a confession. You're either a scumbag or a moron. But I mean, I'm a neighborhood guy. I'm never going to be a lawyer. But I got a good one by the name of John O'Connor.
Well, Shaun, I'll tell you, it's really the people who lead the whole Democratic charge. I've got a lot of nice friends who watch CNN, and they don't know any different, and they haven't learned to think for themselves. And, they're nice people.
Yeah.
And those are the people that I think can be persuaded. They just have to understand that they're not being told the truth by some of these places, that they just aren't. That's all.
Well, this is why when I scorch the earth, you come in and tell everybody he didn't mean it. We're going to be a perfect team. You just got to stay my lawyer for the next 10 years, all right?
Yep, exactly.
Thank you, John O'Connor, for always making time, but more importantly, for the 54 years of constant fighting for us. I appreciate you.
Shaun, you're great. Take care now.
You too, John. We'll be back with your calls and comments.
This is the Shaun Thompson Show on AM 560. The Answer.